Almost a half century ago, free agency was introduced for the first time in a professional sports league. In December of 1975, players were given the right to explore free agency. In a sport that has no salary cap, this shot spending through the roof. And ever since then, the same question has always been raised. Can you buy wins in baseball? There have been teams that go all out on spending to get star players and win it all. There have also been times where that money gets these teams nowhere. In other instances, front offices have tried to spend as little money as possible and still contend. The most notable example of this is the Oakland A's in 2002 when Billy Beane, the GM at the time, began to search for cheap players who had above average metrics. This is around the time when advanced stats would come into play more and more. You may have heard of this infamous season in the movie Moneyball. For what Billy Beane put together that season, I guess you could call it success.
Swung on, there's a high drive, hit way back, right center field, that one is gone, and it's 20 consecutive victories for the Oakland Athletics.
They made the playoffs, but they got taken out in the first round by the Minnesota Twins. And ever since then, they've only advanced in the postseason twice. But the Moneyball Oakland Athletics are not the only team to spend minuscule amounts on their roster and still have success. The Tampa Bay Rays, who have the best record in baseball, are 28th out of 30 teams in total payroll. 3 of the first 8 teams to reach 20 wins this season, including the Pirates, Orioles, and Rays, are in the bottom 4 of payroll rankings and spending less than half the league average, which is $160 million. So how are the top spending teams performing this year? The top 2 spots of the payroll rankings are filled out by both New York teams. The Yankees, who are second in payroll this year, spending $279 million, are last in their division. At the time of making this video, this looks like the best division in baseball this year, so we can cut them a tiny bit of slack. But that team in Queens set the all-time record in payroll for one season, paying out $345 million this year. The Mets are sitting at 1 game under 500 after a month and a half of play. Fans wouldn't look at this as too big of a deal if it was a regular team spending regular money. But when you're spending 30% of $1 billion, fans expect you to show up and play good baseball. And even if they did finish around 500, they would still have a chance to hit the wild card. But even then, could they turn that around in the playoffs and even end up as champions? Since 1998, only 4 World Series champions were the top spenders that year.
The Yankees are back on top, World Champions for the 27th time.
And there's only been one of those in the last 13 seasons. The last team to do it actually spent the most money for a World Series winner in the past 25 years. The Red Sox in 2018 spent $235 million in payroll. In that span, the lowest spending team to win it all was the Florida Marlins in 2003.
Beckett picks it up, tags Posada, and the Florida Marlins are world champions.
Who only paid out $49.5 million to their roster. Ironically enough, they beat the top spenders that year in the Yankees. Here's where we may start to answer the main question of this video. Can you buy wins in baseball? Since that 1998 season, the 03 Marlins are the only team in the bottom 10 of team payrolls to win the World Series. And only 3 teams have done it, being in the bottom 15 of payroll. And 14 of those 25 World Series winners were all top 10 in payroll. So if you're looking for an answer to the question, can you buy wins in baseball? Yes, you can. Will being the top spender get you the most wins in baseball? No. Will being the top spender always give you a World Series championship? No. But if you want to have the chance to win a championship, you'll need to whip out the checkbook.